Let's get out to the commodity markets now. Joining us this morning is Jonathan Barratt, Managing Director of Commodity Broking Services. Still with us, Tony Cripps from HSBC. And of course, we've got Sri with us from up in Singapore. Jono, good to have you with us today. Thanks for joining us. I wanted to get straight into the oil market today. I think this is particularly interesting given we're sitting below 70 US. We're sitting at 68.58. And we're getting these comments now starting to fly through between OPEC ministers. You know, we've heard from Angola, we've heard from Libya. We're not sure whether they're actually going to jump in to do something. They're only scheduled to meet in October. You know, so any sort of, I guess, inter-OPEC meeting would be interesting.
It will be. There's a lot of things on the table at the moment for crude. We're just coming into the drive time in the US, which traditionally picks up supply. We're getting a lot of volatility, there's no doubt about it. I mean, $2 to $3 ranges, you know, last night just freaked everyone out. But I think when you get into these levels of volatility at the lower end of the range, that sort of gives me there's support there. And I think with this volatility we can find that this is an area where we can start to look to buy.
Up in South Africa in a couple of weeks' time. I'm not going to get into a debate with you about the Socceroos and England. We'll leave that for another time. But if power demand spikes during this sporting event, and if the state utility Eskom can't meet that extra demand, if we see power cuts, the miners are going to have to suspend production, and that could be a bullish driver, perhaps, for gold and platinum. Would you agree?
Oh, Sri, I think it's out there, but I think what we've got to look at is, you know, just really how prepared they will be for it. They already know that power is a bit of a concern there, and the drawdown of power of this could come around and be a result that could add support. But I think the main issue would be that if, in fact, we start to get strikes or rolling strikes, if that is the case as a result of the over-demand, then you could see some support come back to the market, particularly in the lights of palladium and platinum.
Do you think gold, there's a lot of talk about gold because gold's been probably the best investment you could have made over the last 5 years. There are some people, however, calling it a bubble. How high do you think gold could go, and is it still a good investment?
Tony, I think that is a hard one at these levels. 12.48, we've got no signs of inflation. The market traded all the way down to 12.06. Now that's once again, it's that volatility story that's suggesting, well, maybe we are reaching highs and lows in certain commodities. Lows in perhaps some of your other primary inputs. In gold, perhaps there is that element of a high forming. But I think the main thing at the moment for gold is what's happening in Europe, because we're seeing risk aversion trades put on just at a drop of a hat, and that's supported. Gold was looking exceptionally weak last night, and then all of a sudden Germany comes out, risk aversion, people are smelling there's concern out there, all of a sudden she goes back up. I think the only way you can trade for gold is on a break to new highs. If it breaks through that 12.50, then it's going to trade into new and higher trading range, and see what fundamental stories actually drove it. And if it is concerns in Europe, well then gold can continue to trend higher.
Jono, what about the geopolitics? How closely are you watching that? Because we got that agreement on Tuesday, new draft resolution on sanctions against Iran. Is that going to be a bullish driver for oil? Can we see the risk premium increasing, and is it going to impact gold as well as a safe haven?
Yeah, I think anything that happens, particularly in Iran, is going to be a concern because obviously so much of oil is actually driven out through the Straits of Hormuz. So any form of geopolitical issue there, that if it does escalate, will help support the price for crude. If in fact crude becomes supportive, I don't think it's going to be an inflationary concern because we're at levels which the economy seem to be okay with. But if in fact any form of flaming up of anything in that particular area will support crude and also will support gold.
And John, just very quickly on the technical levels in gold, if we crack 1,250, there seems to be major resistance. Can we reach 1,300?
Look, I think, let's say 12.50 is obviously that the market wants to eye it. We were losing momentum, we've picked up momentum again, so I think the market will try and gravitate towards it. It'll either establish a high or go through it, but I'm really keen on the fundamental driver that will see it trade through 12.50, because I think that will then be the key for the move to see to 1,300.
All right, Jono, good to have you with us today.